Welcome. It is no accident that you have found your way to the Release the Genie podcast. What would you do with 3 wishes? And what if you discovered that you are in fact that very genie that could grant them? Well, join us now as we discover who our next genie is as we listen in and learn the stories of triumph, inspiration, and passion with some very special guests. And now, without further delay, your host of the Release the Genie podcast, Mr. Paul Rogers.
That's so much better. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. I am your host, Paul Rogers, and welcome to another episode of Release the Genie. Oh my Lord, we have got such a wonderful guest. Prepare yourself for some really good laughs, and we have no idea where this is going to be going. The lovely Lynn Tate. Now, I have had the pleasure of going on one of her 3 talk shows. The first one, Sip and Chat, a complete blast. Second, B to the third power, so B3RD, and her most recent one, Penned, which she is just booked and it's going crazy. She also has some time, believe it or not, to be a national speaker, a wholeness coach, and a blogger and author. So without further ado, the wonderful Lynn Tate.
Okay, so you did exactly what you said you were going to do. Hi, Paul.
Oh, I'll tell everyone what we have. We have a little challenge at the beginning to see if who can make who blush first. So that's kind of, yeah. And
You won. I can't compete. You won.
So I wonder, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself, having set the scene for you?
Absolutely. So I am, just as Paul said, I am a blogger. I call myself an author, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm a writer, y'all. That's my heart. Writing and creating stories, that makes my socks go up and down. But just as much as writing makes my socks go up and down, so does helping other people. My whole purpose and mission is to bring healing and to help others find wholeness in their authentic selves. So that sums up what I love to do. But I am a talk show host. I do have those 3 amazing shows. And I told y'all, I like helping people. So what better way to do that than to feature people that are doing amazing things? You know, I feel like the world is so full of bad news sometimes. It's always great to have that silver lining and to be able to see the greatness that's going on around us that sometimes gets buried in the negativity. I am a wholeness coach. I'm a certified holistic integrative health coach. My goal with that is to help people, not just with, we have a lot of people that help you with your food and your nutrition, but not a lot of people. It's getting better. But I'm the one that helps to focus on your mind and your spirit as well. Because if those things aren't in order, then your physical health isn't in order either. So I would just say the whole goal in T-Lin is to bring healing and to help others and now connect others.
I love that. And, why have one show when you can have 3 shows?
Well, you can have 3. Come on. Why? And they all do something different. That's what's amazing. So like the Sip and Chat, for instance, Sip and Chat is an extension of my blog, Recognizing the Real Me. The whole point in Sip and Chat is to feature people sharing their stories and their journeys to becoming authentic and living in their purpose. And I think that's so amazing because there are so many people out here walking around uncomfortable in their own skin because they don't know the value of their true authentic self. So Sip and Chat it allows me to sit down and talk to some amazing people and talk about how they came to the realization of who they really were and owning that person. Pinned is the other side. It allows me to talk to other creative writers. And I'm talking about whether you're an author, blogger, screenwriter, playwright. I told y'all writing makes my socks go up and down, right? And creating. So that gives me a chance to get in and talk to other creatives and inspire people to tell their stories, right? There are a lot of people who are afraid or have a story in them, but they're afraid to tell it. And so I inspire you to walk that lane out by bringing other creatives on. And B to the third power, what can I say? We're all about being intentional, bridging gaps, and building community. And how do we do that? We feature people from around the world that are doing amazing, amazing, amazing things to uplift the community and put their ripple effect in the world. So why not? Why they all do something different, Paul? So why have just one?
Well, to be honest, it's nice that you're being able to share yourself in so many areas. And to coin one of your phrases, which I think is now going to be my new phrase, you are making my socks go up and down. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. Everyone, that's going to be your new
That's
mantra.
the new phrase. It makes my socks go up and down. Yes.
So, right. Okay. Let's pull it together.
Bring it in. I was going to say, bring it in, Paul. We got to get this done.
Yeah. Pull it together.
Okay.
What has been one of your aha release the genie moments?
One of my aha release the genie moments for me is that actually I got a couple, but I'm gonna combine the two because they're so good and juicy, right? The first one is what my shirt says, is embracing the real me. Along with that comes with loving the real me and recognizing the real me. That's the biggest aha. But in recognizing the real me, the biggest one is that it's not about perfection. It's just about obedience. And when I say obedience, it's being obedient to your authentic self and to your authentic path. And those two together, when you recognize the real you, being obedient to that real you and walking out that path and not worrying about being perfect, just walking out the path the way it is for you.
That's so true. And again, as you say, there's so many people who have got those pieces missing. They may have everything, but they haven't quite got it in the right place. So listening to you and watching what you're doing, I think that gives people the parts they actually need.
Yeah.
That's what hey, look, we're both actually just nodding away.
It's like, what more can you do? It's almost like as I said it, I'm still digesting it myself. Like it's something that I constantly chew on, because for me, I've had problems with the perfection complex, and it slowed me down sometimes. And sometimes it makes me second guess my ability to do things. I'm more than qualified to do a lot of things, but sometimes that head game in having to be perfect, especially when I'm like you said, I'm on all these broadcasts. I have not all these broadcasts like it's a bad thing, but I have these many broadcasts and I have these many public moments, and it's always feeling like everything has to be perfect and in order and in this, but it's not always like that. Sometimes you just got to go get it done, and you clean up or make adjustments along the way as you need to. But if you wait for that perfect moment, you're going to miss it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's perfection is the enemy of good. So, yeah. Okay, well, look, now we're going to move on to, given that great stuff, we're going to try and move on to what is one quote or mantra which really stands out for you?
One quote or mantra that really stands out for me is let go of how you thought it was going to be.
There's a lot of power in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Like it's so many times when I've expected things, we have these, as you should set expectations for some things. Um, Sometimes when things don't go exactly the way you think they should go, we get distracted, we get frustrated, and sometimes it leads us to want to quit, not understanding that the slight detour that we took was actually necessary. And it was going to teach us something that was going to help us in the greater picture. But sometimes we're so focused. Like I say, it's great to set goals, but you always have to have some flexibility. Or as I like to call it, it's great for me to have a plan, but I have to leave room for God to be God. I say that all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes my plans aren't God's plans. And if I'm living a God-centered life and I'm looking to that being my direction and my source for guidance, I got to leave room for him to be him. I mean, sometimes that's going to be different than what T. Lynn thinks should happen. And I've had that moment several times where I had to realize that I have to let go of how I thought it was going to be, embrace where I am, and see the way through from there.
I think you're so right. People are very quick if things don't work out exactly how they had it to go. Oh,
Yes.
that's it. We can't carry on.
We can't carry on. Yeah.
Wow. Well, look, this flows really nicely to the next question, which is, has there been any setback or struggle you've had to overcome?
Yes. Yes. And it's something that I work at every single day. So I've been leading up to all the things that have led to this type of moment, but it's constantly comparing myself to others. Yeah. Constantly comparing myself to others, constantly looking at how it seems like we're parallel, but forgetting that we all have our own journeys. And I love that picture of the iceberg where you see the tip of it. And so you see what the tip looks like, but you don't see all that's underneath it. You don't see all that went through to make that little bitty tip of an iceberg that you see. And that's how I feel success sometimes is you see that little bit of glimmer of success and you're like, oh, wow, like, how is it so easy for them? But you don't see the hours that they cried. You don't see the hours that, or the amount of times that they failed, or how many times they gave up and had to go back and make adjustments. You never saw that. And so I was beating myself up because I felt like, I'm failing at this. This person seems to have it so much easier. It works out that much better. Why does it have to be so hard for me? And I'm focusing on all of that, not realizing that they went through the same thing. It's just that I'm at the point where I'm seeing their success is finally peaking above the water. And I'm distracted by the glimmer, not understanding all that they went through the same thing I did sometimes to get to that point. It's just the process.
I think you're so right. And a lot of people, they judge the person by which chapter they walk in at, because if they came in towards the end of the chapter when everything is working, but all they needed to go back is maybe one or two chapters beforehand where it looked like it was all going to hell in a handbasket.
Right.
And so I think what you say is very, 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 very important to get that message across. So it takes a lot of pressure off people when they know that type of message.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, we have to respect our own journeys. We all are different. And that's my thing about being your authentic self. I feel like we each are unique and we each have our own thing to contribute to this world. And based on what that is, that's going to be what you go through. And the bigger the responsibility or the bigger the blessing, the more you may have to go through to appreciate it and to be able to handle that volume of a blessing. And so, yeah, it's going to be, some people have light work. but they're not called to do what you're called to do. You're called to do what you're called to do, and you're going to go through the journey that matches just that.
I
To
love that.
whom much is given, much is required.
No, I love that. The hardest work is given to the people who are able to carry it and do it. So I think that's, yeah. Well, look, tell us what you're working on now. I mean, I know that you've released Penned in the beginning of January. So
Yes.
tell us about what you're working on now, and if there is, if you want to, about how well Penned is doing.
I see how you like to throw in how well Penned is doing. Yes.
The
So of
springboard.
course, yes, I just released Penned is my new TV show. It is available to watch on YouTube. We do live episodes every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It is doing amazing. I have some amazing creative writers lined up. I've interviewed a couple already. For the most part, I am focusing on the TV shows. I do have a few book projects that I'm working on because of all the things and all the talking we've done. That's the one thing I didn't mention, was that I am a publisher. I have a multimedia company, so it handles my online broadcast and publishing. So I'm working with a few authors to get their projects done. And yeah, for the most part, just keeping up with these broadcasts while we're in season. And somewhat looking forward to the hiatus because, man, it's don't laugh at me, Paul.
Well, it's kind of like you start these things and then you have to run to keep up with it, because you're like, yeah,
Yes.
this is fine. I'm just gonna walk down. It's all cool.
Listen, I think I'm more so looking forward to a hiatus right now, if I really tell the truth, because I have not had any beach time in this last year. Beach time is creative time for me. So I'm looking forward a little bit to a hiatus, because I'm hoping that when the shows go on hiatus, I'll be able to see a beach and chill out.
That sounds a very worthy goal to be striving for. Awesome.
But yeah, that's pretty much sums up all of my projects for now. Just keeping the shows going, making sure that I have some very interesting and entertaining people like yourself to come on and tell us all about, inspire us and tell us all about the creative process to it all. Yeah.
I love it. It's I'm taking notes, man. This is great. So now we move to the second part, which is where I get to ask you my 3 wishes. So are you ready?
I don't think so, but let's go.
We'll judge when don't think so at the end. So here we go. Number 1, what was or has been the best advice you have received ever?
The best advice I've ever received, I actually mentioned it earlier. It's 2 parts. Don't compare yourself to other people, because everyone has their own personal journey. And it's not about perfection. It's about obedience. Or in other terms, it's not about perfection. It's about getting in and getting it done to the best of your ability. The rest will work itself out.
The imperfection is actually the perfection.
Exactly.
Look at that. See, I've done a little bit of writing. You may be able to tell. Okay. So we got 2 pieces of advice for the first one. So in my score, that's 2 up for me. So what's the second question is, what advice would you give your younger self?
It's okay when people walk away. If people don't appreciate the value of you, it's okay. Let them walk. Something better will come along. Stop trying to fit yourself in a box that you were not designed for.
That's amazing advice. And yeah, I mean, that can be as in a relationship, that can be in work, that covers, and that can resonate. And I'm sure that resonates with a whole spectrum of people. So
Yes. I spent so much time trying to fit myself in a box that wasn't designed for me, Paul. If I knew then what I know now, how much more successful could I have been? And I'm not just talking about success and just like having a bunch of money, but I'm just talking about really enjoying life to its fullest, because I'm not concerned about being what other people wanted me to be. So much freedom in being you. So much freedom in being your authentic self.
I love it. And I mean, to be honest, this is where all your shows start. This is the mission which you've set. So in a world full of pretend and Facebook and media, that actually just being the real you is
Just,
actually the
yes.
biggest strength you can have.
Yes, it is. It's your superpower. It's your
Yeah.
superpower. Because you know why? If you be your authentic self, I'm going to throw this in here for someone. If you be your authentic self, you're already operating in your strengths.
Mm. Yeah.
That is your strength. That's your superpower. That is your uniqueness. It's what makes you you, and it's what stands you out from everyone else if you just be your authentic self.
Wow. And you can see now, ladies and gentlemen, why Lynn loves to write, because that's just fantastic. I'm going to get the transcript of this conversation and then right. Let's finally move on to the third wish,
Yes.
which may be one which this may not be the easiest one. So is there one personal habit you can share with us which attributes to your success?
Yes, it actually is. Um, there was a time when I went through a time of transformation. And in the process of that, I had to retrain my brain and retrain my mindset. And in doing that, affirmations helped me.
Mm.
Until still to this day, I will write a affirmation or something that I would like to manifest. I begin to write affirmations to retrain my brain to help me stay focused. And so that is one thing that I still do today is when I catch myself, I'm like, it's time for you to retrain your brain. You're getting too lost in the muck. Come back. And I will begin to write out those things that I am looking to help train me, to remind me of who I am, to affirm me when no one else is doing it. My affirmations remind me of who I am. So I'm independent of other people's thoughts and opinions of me.
And also it helps, as you said before, with having the flexibility in a plan,
Yes.
because hey, everyone gets off course, but being able to recognize you're off course and then taking that time.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. See, that was not so bad after all. So remember
No,
you
it
said just
wasn't.
before this, well, I'm not too sure. Well, I think you passed with flying colors there. So we'll put that down, score you. Last sort of questions before we wrap up is, do you have a favorite book, or is there a sort of something you could recommend to the readers?
It's funny because it's the book that I've literally been talking about for days now. And I'm pretty sure I have more than this book. Of course, my own book is my favorite, but for the sake of helping others right now, my favorite book is The Secret by Rhonda Burns.
Mm.
Because that was a book that was pivotal for me in retraining my mind and my thought processes. And as I said, it's something that I still do today.
Mm.
And so for me, I always tell people I'm not ashamed to say I'm a God person. Like I love God. I'm God focused. That's where I get my guidance from. But I always would read the Bible, and the Bible would say, as a man thinketh, so is he. And Rhonda Burns in her book literally gave me a way to train my thinking to be able to live out that,
Mm.
so that my thought patterns were affirming, and it helped me to train and see that the power of life and death is in your tongue.
Mm.
And so I'm speaking those things that apply to me to affirm me so that I am living that out. I hope I said that right.
No, it very, really good. I mean, it's allowing it to come through you and out rather than another way. So sort of top and out is no, that is really, really nice. So and agree. The Secret is, a phenomenal. I mean, I've seen the film and everything. It's really, really good.
It is, and it, like I said, it was something that gave me practical ways to start to train and the way that I thought about things, change my point of view on how I looked at things. And so that was big because, as I shared with someone earlier when we were talking, there's times when you feel like you're walking around with a bullseye on your head for the bad things that's happening to you. But that's because a few things go wrong and you begin to constantly expect the worst. And in you constantly expecting the worst, you're going to keep getting the worst. But if you start feeding yourself little nuggets of positivity, it begins to weigh out the negativity. The more you feed yourself with positivity, come on here, I'm going to put it to you like this. Whatever you feed yourself, that's what you become.
I'm with you. I not to blow my own trumpet, but that's the two wolves. So yes, I love it. Well, how could I not love that? That's fantastic advice. Okay, brilliant one. You've proved that you're completely overqualified for this role here as a genie.
Okay.
So where can we find you?
You can always find me at my website at Key to Life. That's QUI, 2 life, LIFE.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, all under T.Lynn, Lynn Tate. I make it simple, so it's easy to find me. T.Lynn Tate.
And that simple is best. There's nothing wrong with simple. And it stops you having to spell long words out when people.
Yes.
I agree. Well, look, Lynn, thank you very much. I mean,
wait, hold on, wait. I forgot the most important part.
Well, tell me.
Are you ready? Okay, so you can also find all of my shows on YouTube. T.Lynn Tate is the Sip and Chat channel. You can go to Pinned, the Writer's Utopia. That'll bring up the Pinned channel. And then, of course, B3RD Power will bring up B3rd Power. Now, those are the only ones that vary. Just if you remember Pinned, the Writer's Utopia, T.Lynn Tate, T.Lynn Tate, and B3rd Power, you'll find me on YouTube too.
Do you know, I'm so pleased you said that because you'd have kicked yourself for not doing that.
Later, I know, right? As much as we talked about it, how could I not give them that information?
Well, I'm pleased you got it out here because it would have been really depressing if it had been afterwards. So, and please feel to interrupt if anything else happens as well. So,
absolutely. Perfect.
Well, look, Lynn, your authenticity and your willing to help other people it shines through. And I have been delighted to have you as a friend of mine, and everyone who's watching, follow this wonderful lady, check out her shows. They're phenomenal. And I wish you all the best with what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Watch this space, because if we leave Lynn alone, she'll have 2 or 3 more shows. So, so
possibility. You're very welcome, and thank you for having me. I don't do these that often, y'all. I'm usually the one putting people on the hot seat. I'm not used to being on the hot seat myself.
That's kind of fun. So everyone, even though we put Lynn on the hot seat today, I think you agree with me that she's a fantastic genie. And I would encourage everyone to bring forth and be their authentic self. Don't worry about perfection. Do what you can, where you can.
Yes.
And next time we'll tune in for another fantastic guest. And I would encourage you to go and release your genie today. So finally, thank you. And thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Well, that's a wrap. You have been listening to yet another episode of the Release the Genie podcast with host Paul Rogers. Be sure to follow Paul on the LinkedIn platform and learn more of Paul's resources at www.takeactionacademy.ca. And until next time, as always, be mindful and be sure to release your genie. Thanks for listening.